Hi, this is Kevin Baumer, CML Deputy Director, and welcome to this week's edition of the CML Statehouse Report. Before I get started, I want to first plug the CML Legislative Workshop that will be held on February 14th at the History Colorado Museum. We've got a great lineup, and you can go to the events page on cml.org and register. Also, if you are a legislator and watching this, or you know a legislator, please make sure both you and the legislator, if you attend the conference, you bring your legislator to the reception, which will be here at the CML building following the workshop from 4 to 6 p.m. with still enough time to go out and enjoy Valentine's dinner. So that's February 14th, information at cml.org. Things are starting to ramp up very quickly at the State House this week. You'll hear from my colleagues on some key bills that they're working on, and really committee action starts next week. I've already had a couple things underway that I want to report on. First is legislation that would end a local government opt-out from the Unclaimed Property Act. A handful of our municipalities utilize the opt-out and efficiently run their own unclaimed property programs. This bill, House Bill 1018, which was heard but not acted upon in the House Local Government Committee, would remove that authority, and we're opposed to that unless there's a way to amend the bill to just have a requirement that the information be posted on the Treasurer's website with the Great Colorado Payback information. Related to the Unclaimed Property Act, though, there is a uniform piece of legislation that was just introduced recently, Senate Bill 88, Revised Uniform Unclaimed Property Act, which repeals and reenacts the entire Unclaimed Property Act, and at least as introduced would completely delete the section with the opt-out. So we've got to get to work on that for municipalities that have that program. Employment-related bills are starting to move through. I've talked about, and we have on our Statehouse Report, a write-up on House Bill 1025. This is the, quote, ban the box bill. It limits the ability to inquire about criminal histories on job applications. For the most part, municipal employers have already adjusted and don't necessarily do that. There is the ability to do a criminal background check anytime along the way, and there are certain types of jobs that are exempted from the prohibition. CML is carrying that as a monitor bill, but something to pay attention to. But Senate Bill 85, which has been introduced, it's been a couple of years now, but we believe it has legs this year. This is Equal Pay for Equal Work Act, obviously a key issue for the majority in the Senate and the House. We're taking a very close look at it right now. There's several business entities and organizations that are concerned. It affects all employers, public and private. But any discrimination, as the bill is introduced, would go right to a private right of action. That seems like it's missing an intermediate step. There's some other concerns. And CML will join largely with the business and community to see if those concerns can be addressed. There is legislation related to regulation of nicotine products. Some municipalities have decided to forego the shareback of state sales taxes in order to have their own regulatory programs, or even their own tax. And as such, they forego that state shareback of state sales tax, cigarette sales tax. House Bill 1033 would eliminate the prohibition on a local tax, or eliminate the penalty for having one, and also give authority for municipalities and counties to have their own special cigarette sales tax. It mirrors marijuana special sales tax, such that there can't be overlapping jurisdictions with taxes unless there's an intergovernmental agreement. And of course, home rule municipalities have always had the authority to enact a cigarette tax if they wanted to, as many have. That is a monitor bill, but I'm interested in any feedback, if there is any, on the issue. There's an elections-related bill, or at least a bill that is impacting elections, that clerks are aware of. I want to put on everyone's radar screen. That is House Bill 1056. And Representative Benavidez in the House is carrying this bill. I don't think it's her intent to impact elections, but the bill would exchange Columbus Day for Election Day as a state holiday. Election days, however, obviously require a lot of work for clerks and those employed in the process of running elections. Creating a state holiday on Election Day then creates a fiscal impact for obviously the extra time on a holiday for employees to work. And we've raised the issue with Representative Benavidez, and don't have a municipal issue related to the Columbus Day holiday, but rather what the impacts of the exchange might be, and we look forward to continuing to work with her on that. House Bill 1087, this is legislation addressing the Colorado Open Meetings Act and the specific public notice requirement for meetings. House Bill 1087, which actually has former municipal officials as sponsors, is a terrible unfunded mandate as introduced, although I don't think that's the sponsor's intent. What it would say is it would require a municipality or a county to post on a website a meeting and explain how to do it to be in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. The only problem with that is a number of our municipalities don't actually have a website, and I know that that a lot of metro area legislators we've had to explain this to, but not only they don't have a website, if they do, it's maybe an information page. The staff training and time to have someone to post the schedule and have it searchable in the manner that the bill describes as an unfunded mandate. We've asked them for a simple amendment that says, if you're going to post online, then do it like this, and we'd actually propose supporting the legislation. So that's House Bill 1087. That'll be up next week. The last bill I'll raise, if anyone remembers the lemonade stand controversy from last year that was actually resolved at the local level, well, of course, there's a state bill on it. And we knew this was coming. This is Senate Bill 103. It has about half the legislature as co-sponsors on it that would purport to prohibit municipalities from requiring minors to have a business license for selling lemonade, etc., and places some parameters on that. We're just taking a look at that now. We don't believe it's necessary, as Denver showed when they amended their ordinances. They took care of it at the local level, so this really may be legislation that is more of a PR issue and attempting to solve a problem that actually doesn't exist. But we look forward to working with the General Assembly, most of whom is on the bill.
Good afternoon, Morgan Cullen here. A couple of bills to update you on and a couple things that transpired over the course of this week. The first was Senate Bill 32. If you remember back last summer, CML took an opposed position on a hazmat routing bill that was before the TLRC committee. We were able to defeat it in that committee, and the bill was actually reintroduced in the 2019 session, but it was significantly modified from its original introduced version before the committee last summer. And so therefore CML's taken a monitor position on the bill. We're watching it closely, make sure that some of the issues that we had concern with over the summer do not reappear in the form of amendments. But the bill was before the Senate Transportation Committee earlier this week, and it passed unanimously out of that body, and it's currently scheduled for second reading. It was late over today, but it should be on seconds on Monday. Another bill is, and it's actually CML initiated legislation this year. It's House Bill 1084. This bill came out of a court ruling by the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals last May. They ruled in the case City of Glendale versus Mack Property Investments. In that ruling, they decided that Mack Properties due process was violated because they were not notified of a pending blight designation. So this bill that was recommendation was made by our Urban Renewal Subcommittee to our CML Policy Committee that we look at amending the URA statute to specifically require that a municipality must provide adequate notification to property owners of a pending blight designation. And so that bill was introduced last week, and it will be up in the House on February 5th.
Hi, this is Megan Dollar, Legislative and Policy Advocate with the Colorado Municipal League. This week, I'm going to talk about Senate Bill 30. This is a criminal justice bill, and what it does is it allows individuals that have pled guilty in deferred judgments to petition the court to vacate that guilty plea. This would apply to all deferred judgments, and it does not specify currently in the bill a period of time. CML has concerns with the legislation and is currently opposed unless amended because it is broadly written to apply to pretty much any deferred judgment that's happened, and that does include those that have happened in municipal court. We are currently working with the sponsor to narrow the scope of the bill, as well as develop a process to where a court can have some judicial discretion when identifying whether or not to vacate a guilty plea in these deferred judgments.
Hi, I'm Brandy DeLang, a legislative and policy advocate here at the Colorado Municipal League. I have two bills to go over today. They may seem familiar to you. We did cover them last week, so I'm providing some updates and also creating a call for action from folks who are watching. So the first bill I want to go over is House Bill 1035. This is an update. This is the electrical inspection fee bill. If you recall, this bill originally was introduced to decouple inspection fees from the state board and from what local governments are able to currently collect with that 15% cap fee. 15% fee cap, excuse me. So we recently went through committee in the House Transportation and Local Government Committee, and we unfortunately ran into some opposition from folks in the plumbing union community as well as in the home builders community, based around the fear that if we decoupled fees and allowed local governments to just collect whatever inspection fee they wanted, they would go ahead and arbitrarily set fees. So ultimately, we decided to set the floor at the 2014 standard, where the state originally cut fees to combat the Tabor cap and left in the 15% fee cap. So this bill is headed to the House floor on Monday morning and will be heard by the Committee of the Whole, and then will be headed over to the Senate shortly thereafter. The second bill I want to go over today, and the bill that I'd like to create a call for action for our membership, is House Bill 1086. So I believe we went over this bill last week as well, and what this bill does is creates a mandate for local governments to hire journeyman inspectors. Currently, many of you use ICC certified inspectors, which those individuals are highly qualified. It's an internationally recognized certification, but unfortunately our friends in the union world have decided that creating a requirement for journeymen is just absolutely necessary. We are working to address these concerns. Both CML and CCI are currently opposed to this bill and will remain opposed to this bill. And what we're asking is that our memberships reach out to their legislators, specifically on the House Business Affairs and Labor Committee, to let them know that you have opposition. We did a survey of our membership, and of those that responded to the survey, we have two municipalities that currently use journeymen. Everyone else is using ICC certified plumbing inspectors right now. And so this will obviously create an unfunded mandate for local governments. It will also create a real problem in trying to get those folks that are interested in becoming journeymen quickly certified. It's about a 5-year process. So if they wanted to retain their employment with you and pursue that certificate, they unfortunately will probably have to decide between one or the other. The other thing that we would flag is that this obviously is a solution in search of a problem. We already recognize that you guys are working with highly qualified individuals, and this just really is not a necessary piece of legislation. So again, please take a look at the House Business Affairs and Labor Committee. If you have a representative on that committee, please reach out to them. Please let them know that this bill is just not going to work for you. And then if you have questions or if you need additional speaking points, please do reach out to me. Again, my name is Brandy DeLang, and you can email me or call me. Thanks.
Thanks again for watching this week, and particularly for putting up with my lengthier report while my colleagues were a little bit more brief, but that's what you get. See you next week, and we hope you keep watching.